Have you ever wondered why a really bad night's sleep and a splitting headache seem to go hand in hand? Well, today we're going to unravel that mystery, and it all comes down to a brand new cleaning system that was just discovered, hidden deep inside your brain.
I mean, we've all been there, haven't we? You toss and turn, you can't get comfortable, and you wake up feeling not just exhausted, but with this pounding, nagging headache. It feels like they're connected, for sure, but what's the actual physical link? Well, it turns out the answer is way more incredible than you might think. You know, for centuries, people have known this. Traditional wisdom has always observed that things like stress and bad sleep just throw your body out of whack. But what's the actual physical machinery doing the work? It's only in the last few years that science has finally pulled back the curtain, revealing this absolutely stunning process that happens inside our heads every single night. So, to really understand that connection to headaches, we first need to meet the unsung hero of our brain's health, its very own highly specialized internal housekeeping system. It's called the glymphatic system. And what is just wild is that scientists only really figured this thing out in the last decade or so. It's this whole network of channels that piggybacks along your blood vessels, and its main job, it's basically garbage collection, washing away all the toxic gunk and metabolic junk that our brain cells produce just by thinking and being alive.
Probably the best way to picture it is like a dishwasher for your brain. All day long, while your brain is working hard, thinking, feeling, you're piling up all these dirty dishes, right? This is all that metabolic waste. Then, at night, when you go to sleep, the glymphatic system kicks into gear and runs this powerful, deep clean cycle to get everything sparkling and ready for the next day. So, how does this nightly brainwashing actually happen? Well, it's a really elegant three-step process. Okay, so it all starts with this clean cerebral spinal fluid, or CSF. It gets pumped into the brain along the outside of your arteries. You can think of those as the inflow pipes. Next, this clean fluid percolates through your brain tissue, kind of power washing the spaces between your brain cells and collecting all that waste. And finally, this now dirty fluid, full of junk, gets collected into channels along the veins and is flushed completely out of the brain. But here is the most important part of this whole story. This system doesn't just run 24/7. See, when you're awake, your brain cells are all plump and packed together really tightly, which doesn't leave much room for fluid to flow. But when you fall asleep, your brain cells literally shrink, which expands the space between them by as much as 60%. This just opens the floodgates, letting that cleaning fluid rush through and wash the whole place out. And the difference this makes is, well, it's not small. It's staggering. Studies show that this cleaning system is a whopping 90% less active when you're awake. It is almost entirely a nighttime operation. This is absolute proof that sleep isn't just you resting. It's an active, essential maintenance job for your brain. Okay, so that brings us right back to our original question. We know the system is critical, and we know it only really works during deep sleep. So what happens when that cleaning cycle gets shut down? This is where we find that direct, painful link to migraines. Researchers have found that during a migraine, this event can happen called cortical spreading depression, or CSD for short. And what it is this slow-moving wave of really intense electrical activity that just spreads across the surface of your brain. And that wave is a huge player in what happens next. Because what that wave does is it's catastrophic for the cleaning system. Just look at this timeline. When that CSD wave starts, the whole system shuts down, and it is shockingly fast. In just 6 minutes, the inflow pipes, bam, they slam shut. About 10 minutes after that, the outflow pipes close too. The entire system goes into a total lockdown for over half an hour, completely unable to do its job. And the result? The brain's entire sanitation system is brought to a screeching halt. All of that inflammatory waste, all that metabolic trash, it gets trapped inside. And scientists now believe that this buildup of toxic junk is a huge reason why migraines are so incredibly painful. So you can see how this creates this really damaging feedback loop. It's not as simple as poor sleep causing a headache. The relationship is actually a two-way street, and it creates this vicious cycle that can be so hard to break out of. Let's look at this.
On one side, a night of bad sleep means the cleaning system just doesn't work well. That waste builds up, and that can trigger a headache. But then on the other side, the headache itself, remember that CSD event? It can block the cleaning pathways, which leads to even more waste buildup. And all that gunk in your brain makes it much harder to get good restorative sleep.
It's a classic downward spiral, right? The worse your sleep, the more likely you are to get a headache. And the more headaches you get, the worse your sleep becomes. And sitting right at the center of this whole mess is the health of your brain's hidden cleaning crew, the glymphatic system.
Okay, so armed with all this new knowledge, what can we actually do about it? Understanding this system gives us something like a user manual for our brains, with some really practical ways we can help our internal housekeeper do its job better.
So here's what the user manual tells us. First, start thinking of sleep as an active and essential process, not some luxury you can skip. Second, and this is interesting, animal studies suggest that your sleeping position might matter. Sleeping on your side seems to be the most efficient for clearing out waste. Also, remember that stress hormones like norepinephrine basically act as a direct off switch for this system. And finally, realize that managing your headaches isn't just about avoiding pain. It's about protecting your brain's entire cleaning crew from a total shutdown. So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. Now that you know your brain runs a deep clean cycle every single night to flush out actual toxins, what's the real cost of powering through on no sleep? It's definitely something worth sleeping on.